Hello, I'm Dr. Lynette Sim, and welcome to Pop Talk, the show where you never know what topics might pop up. You know, social media can be an amazing thing, but it also can be a very bad and dangerous thing, especially because there's so many fake accounts out there, imposter accounts, bots, all of these things. I have deleted scores and scores of accounts, but sometimes these imposter accounts can be really believable. In fact, I've had some as family, and I thought it was them for a moment, but you can get easily drawn in. So we wanted to share with today's speaker about social media and what are some of the lessons we can learn in the process from her experience. Lisa, why don't you do our introduction?
I'm happy to, but before we do that, I want to introduce our Pop Talk co-host, Aurora Ortega-Geis. She's here from Bernie, Texas, and she's filling in for Rosemary LeGrand, who's taking a much-deserved vacation. We will see Rosemary back here, I think, in October. So we're trying to talk Aurora into coming back in September. So everybody write in. We want Aurora back in September. So our guest today is Pamela Duran. Pamela is a business professional. She's an entrepreneur. She's a community leader. And she's a podcast host for the podcast Real Heart Talk. This podcast focuses on sharing stories of overcoming obstacles of trauma, fraud, scam, abuse, and how you took your power back and rebuilt your life. She's also an author, a singer, and a songwriter. She played the piano for us last night. It was so nice. And in addition, Pamela is the founder of Lift Up Events, specializing in lifting others up, showing them that the journey is not as lonesome as it seems. Her most recent book is titled It Starts Within You: Heart, Mind, and Emotions Deceived. The book went to #1 on Amazon in social issues and Christianity. It's a real account of her own emotional trauma suffered prior to the pandemic. So Pamela, it's great to have you on Pop Talk. It's been wonderful getting to know you. And I think it's interesting in light of the story that you're going to be telling today that we met online on an online event for a mutual organization, Christian Women in Media. And I felt like the Lord was saying, connect with her. And so I did. And then you came to a conference that I was speaking at in Atlanta. We had another touch there. And I just felt like you were supposed to be on Pop Talk. And so I'm so glad that God connected us. And what happened to you, Pamela, can happen to anyone. You'd been married for 15 years, and the marriage was kind of on autopilot, wasn't it? And not as satisfying. So when a big movie star, or so you thought, connected with you on Instagram and began a conversation, you kind of got drawn in. Can you share about some of the early stages of what happened?
Yes, thank you, Lisa, Dr. Sims, and Aurora. So happy to be here today on your Pop Talk show. So in the early time, you know, you just get in a complacent place in your marriage. You're just like on autopilot. You go to work, you come home, you go to church, you know, you lead your group, and you just watch TV or fix dinner or whatever. You know, you're just kind of on autopilot. But when this person reached out, I really didn't think a lot of it, but they continued. So it was the continuous communication on Instagram. And I had just started, you know, growing my Instagram following on that platform. And so I thought, well, everybody needs somebody to talk to. Why not? You know? And so then that really started the conversation. And I feel like what happens, you know, to people, and I don't know if maybe it's women over 50, maybe you're just missing something.
Yeah.
You know, and that was what it was for me. I didn't really know it, you know, but when that person shows attention to you and you just feel appreciated, not that you're not appreciated at home, but, you know, you just feel that appreciation. You just get drawn in. Just like Eve, you know, in the garden, she believed she would have more knowledge, you know, if she ate of that tree, you know, and it was just believable that it was him. We were the same age. We had a lot of the same, you know, things happen in life at the same time, you know, so it was just believable.
And he was a famous guy, a famous actor, yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
So that conversation continued, you know, then we went on to the WhatsApp platform and all this is in my book, all the more details, but so, it was just constant communication, uplifting, showing appreciation and love. And it just really, it's when we don't focus on Jesus. I had that little crack in my armor.
Yes.
We have to put on our spiritual armor every day because you have all of those things coming towards you and in so many different platforms. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be Instagram, but you have to know who you are, whose you are, and keep your focus, or this could happen to anybody, especially if you're not happy. There are a lot of unhappy people in their marriage, and if someone comes along and just shows you that and helps you start feeling that feeling, then you're going to be drawn in and deceived.
Pamela, I can really feel just the brokenness that you were feeling during that time. But as we talk a little bit more about your own experiences, it really is difficult to see who you know or don't know on social media. Even with the digital marketing background, I'm pretty weary of looking at people who are wanting to connect with me. I look at mutual connections to see whether or not they're real or not real. And most recently, I had someone pose as me, sending messages to my friends. So I am very weary. However, I wanted to know, what made your connection with this imposter who claimed to be an A-list movie star believable?
So like I said, we had so many similarities, growing up, tragedies, loss. And I think it was just so believable because I knew his backstory, and I'm like, okay, let's look this up and see if they copied it anywhere, because I am in IT. I tried to do the diligence, to make sure, before. And it was just, like I said, continuous, and they, would send me pictures. One thing is, if you are online, just talk to the people, have a phone call conversation, because if you can't, but I'm a writer. I love to, think outside the box. So I'm like, okay, we'll just, communicate this way. But, there were authentic pictures. There are tools, you can use iSpy to check pictures out, and things like that. And even, places that he was or movies he was working on. It all checked out. But of course, the imposter, scammer, they can all check that as well. But first of all, the doubt was created. And then, you're brought to similarities, so you're thinking, oh, we got stuff in common, so that drew you in more. And so it's just like a progress. They know how to draw you in, and they also know people that are vulnerable, that maybe there is something that they can keep chipping away at to get you to, go into their story, to their scam, to their fraud.
Well, like we were saying, this can happen to anybody. Anyone can have this, and we want people to know that, like, you're a Christian leader, yes. You've written books, it's yes. Obviously you've done some IT, singer, songwriter, you have a full life. So, but this went to the next level. You started writing a screenplay with this person, as well as a song together. But then the imposter asked you to go to China with them. So what occurred during this time?
So during this time, I had gotten a divorce, put my notice in at work, quit my job. I did go to actual Nashville, and we wrote the song together. It's on SoundCloud, Love You Longer. And then we did actually start writing the movie, which I want to do. This did not happen for nothing. Things that happen to you happen for you. And people need to realize that they matter. Their feelings matter. And if, you've lost your identity or lost where you are, you can get back to that point. So, of course, I'm sitting alone at home after I'd already almost sold everything. My house was up for sale, with my bags packed, and my sons are like, Mom, you're not going anywhere. If you're going, we're going, and I thank God for them, But at that point, it was very humbling. To realize, how could I have done this? How could I have been so deceived? So that really started, the light bulbs coming on for me at that time.
We can all be deceived. I got deceived once on Twitter. It's a true confession. I started getting into a debate with somebody on Twitter about God, and they claimed to be an atheist, and their name was Dr. Sheldon Cooper, and they were a theoretical physicist at Caltech. And so I know y'all know who he is. So I was
Big Bang Theory,
I was
anyone?
going back and forth with this guy, and then it hit me who he was. He was a character on the Big Bang Theory. Well, then I changed my tune, then I acted like, oh yeah, well I know who you are. You're just hiding behind the character, but I got pulled in, I believed it because I wasn't really up on my Big Bang Theory characters, and so it can happen. So I'm just wondering, when did, you talked a little bit about it in the last answer, but when did you really, what signs happened that you realized this guy was an imposter?
It really started more like on my last day of work, because I was expecting to fully go be with them. And then that just made my heart sink, and I was like, oh my God, can I ask for my job? I really thought that in my heart, because I'm like, when they said, no, you have to wait. And then, it was another 2 weeks. No, you have to wait. No, I have to go do this. I was like, it was just the realization of all the waiting and the delays that really made me realize something wasn't right. I made the wrong decision or thoughts, So.
Yeah.
Well, in your particular case, the FBI actually got involved. How did they know about this situation?
So at that point, when I was having a realization, I was part of a nonprofit group, and a friend of mine in that group, I was on the board, and we fought against domestic violence. And so I told her. So I was just finally told somebody. And she said, well, we need to get, the GBI involved, which we did. And then the FBI got involved, and the people at the bank, I had to change all of my credit cards, banking information, everything. Because this person actually transferred $7,000 in my account. You'd think I would have just put it in my savings and kept it, but no, that was going to help us build our nest egg, that we're both contributing to. So they said since it was transferred through Bitcoin, it couldn't be tracked. And the bad thing is when you're doing that, the people, ask you, is somebody asking you to do this? So I wasn't even true. If I had just been truthful with them, they may not have even done it, but I was thinking this was a new future. This is what God wanted. You're even deceiving your own self thinking God is in any of this because it's not following his word. It's not following his values. It's just you're really in an emotional delusion or a dilemma. I call it a disruption because it truly was my disruption before the whole world was disrupted. So I did work with the bank fraud team, and they brought the FBI in, and I would, talk to them. And they said, this is what they do. This is the scammer's job. They've known people that's lost millions of dollars. Mine wasn't that much, but, it was a lot to me, in my family. He said that's their job, to make it so believable that you'll just send them money. And that's what happened.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like a professional job. This
Yes.
is like they knew what they were doing. They've probably done it before. It wasn't somebody just playing a game and pulling on
Right.
your heartstrings. This person had an intricate plan, and they probably studied this actor and knew all about him and knew everything there was. It's just, you got to really watch for this because it's you just never know, and you got to make sure that they're authentic.
Yes.
Yeah, really, really powerful, Pamela. You used a keyword, disruption, and it disrupted so many areas of your life. You talked about finance, you talked about your job, but then there's also the personal disruption, like the friends, for example, that you lost during this process. Tell us a little bit more about how much time it took you to get over this, but more importantly, really tell our viewers, how did you overcome? How did you heal?
So through the healing process, I had a friend in Florida, and she was amazing. No judgment. She let me come stay with her, on the beach. I know I'm weepy, but it's, it's like you think you're smarter than this. And that's one thing that the FBI said. It hasn't anything to do with your intellect, and it doesn't. It was all emotion, all your heart. So she let me come stay for a week, and I didn't care that it was in January. I was out there with my sweatpants on, walking in the waves, and just really healing, starting that healing process. And then I had a coach also that I had some time with, Carrie Moore. She's amazing, and she started helping me create my sustainability, again, and putting things back together. There's a book, Mirror Works, is really an awesome book that it's a 21-day, but it really helps you get back to you. So she really helped me get back to myself, gain my confidence, and get back in, the job market and not just sit. I think a lot of people just sit in that place, in the guilt and shame. Another good book, Charles Stanley has a great book on emotions, and that is so healing. If anybody, needs emotional healing, that is a very good book as well. And then Jensen Franklin, Restart Your Heart. That is amazing, 21-day devotional, because I felt like at that time just hollow. I didn't have any emotion. And I'm a loving people person. So, I wanted to get that back. So that was very, very healing. And then I did start my Real Heart Talk podcast because so many people out there, after I did do like a big announcement on Facebook. I had 600 people, and so many people reached out to me that had been through the same thing with different people. A lot of people were still married. A lot of people, their husbands knew what they were doing, and they were still sending money. It was just like, we need to help save many people alive. That was my scripture, Genesis 50:20. They might have meant this for evil for me, but God meant it for good. And I do want to help other women that maybe you're complacent, maybe you're not happy, but seek, your source. Our Jesus is the source, He is our love, our true love. He will put that inside of us, So those were things, that I went to start healing for me on my road back.
Yeah, he allows that emptiness in our hearts because he wants us to seek him. And our marriages, our friendships, we want to fill that void with that. And it's wonderful to have all that. But there's still that place. God wants to be numero uno. He wants to be number one. And so this A-list actor's sister and his business partner, we think, I know you're just skeptical because do I believe that this is really them? I'm not sure the scammer would have sent them to you, honestly, but they reached out to you. What did they have to say?
So his business partner with his company, besides his acting, did send me an email, and it was just interesting. I mean, it was just like they knew what was going on. And that's why it was so hard. And I just had to let it go like the Frozen song, because whether it was or was not, it was not real. I went through the motions that seemed real. But yeah, he was just like checking in, and I couldn't continue that. And then just like last month, his sister reached out and was talking about imposters online. And and I just said, it's a little bit too late. So, what can you say unless they want to have a real phone conversation? So it's something, I tell you.
I can't even begin to imagine who these people that are known, are they truly known to you after you've gone through just this brokenness, this disruption in your life. But one thing that we do know from the Word of God in Romans 8:28, when it specifically tells us that we know that in all things, God is going to be working for the good of those who love him and who have been called according to his purpose. So how did God begin to work the good out of a bad situation in your life?
So working the good, again, I was on Clubhouse. I did join Clubhouse after that as a medium to it's an audio platform, and I did make friends on there and connections that I still have, today. And that's where Real Heart Talk was birthed. And I partnered with another lady on there with 360 Real Talk Radio. So that is one. And my book, I had a knee-jerk reaction book that did go out, so we had to take that off anyway. So this book has been in the progress for 2 years. It starts with and it's went through different phrases, different names, but I really have joined some great groups, Christian Women in Media, and to get the book out last month, my ebook on July the 22nd, and it is available on Amazon, but to get that out was just such an accomplishment because it doesn't just tell my story, but it gives you, steps to heal, to forgive, to give yourself grace, music that is healing, a prayer strategy. And at the end, it just goes through, where are you hurting? These are scriptures, affirmations, and then where are you hurting? Where do you need to dive in, and start definitely the prayer, your armor. You have to do that daily. That is one section in there. So that, I feel like it is definitely going to help a lot of people. It could be men and women, but my focus was mainly, women, because it just seems like they're taking advantage. Exactly. We're such emotional creatures, and, unfairly, we're definitely targeted and taken advantage of. Like the song, the devil has a target on our heart and our soul. I love that song, Higher, but we have to watch out for that. We have to be on guard daily. We have to do that in order to make sure that we don't, fall into that trap, those traps.
Sorry, but you've gone through all of this, and you're obviously using it for good, trying to help people, giving them ways to heal. But what are some of the technology, this happened on Instagram and other places. Are there some tools that you can share with us that could help us be able to identify an imposter quicker?
So obviously, just like Aurora said, just do your due diligence. And Lisa, make sure you have connections, mutual connections. Also, there's a tool called I Spy. I Spy, you can put a photo in if anybody sends it to you, and it will search all the internet to see if it's out there. So that would definitely help you. There are things you can get into if they email you, your header. You can get the IP address, and you can trace that. You can have people help you do that. So there are ways that you can. And honestly, I was telling Lisa I did that for my sister. It's been years ago. I'm like, why didn't I just do that for myself? To see where everything was originating from. You could really see that.
I just wanted to add one more thing. I'm on Instagram as well. And we do, if anyone's on there, you get a lot of requests from people. And especially if they're male, I don't really need male friends. I'm a married woman.
Right.
And so I just hit delete.
Yep.
I honestly just keep it that way. If I don't know you in person, you're not my friend's husband. And even on social media, I am not friends with my friends' husbands.
Right.
And
I really try to tell my mentees that as well.
That's a very good practice.
Yeah.
I get a lot of the Instagram follows, and you try to see who they are, and it's a private account. I think that's a red flag as well.
Red flag, definitely.
Yeah, when there's private, you can't see what they're doing. And then I've even had messages on Facebook from men, like, I really like your posts, Lisa. They seem legitimate. I'd really like to be your friend because I would like to follow what you're doing. And I don't do it.
Right.
Because like you said, I'm married. I don't need that kind of thing. I don't know who you are. And then you go back and you look at their page and it doesn't look right.
Right.
Yeah, they have many pictures of themselves. I always think that's a red flag.
It is a red
like
flag.
when they're posing, they're right by a military tank or something like that. There's a lot of stuff.
Yes.
Well, we talked about the void that's left in our heart, that Jesus wants to fill that void, that there's nobody that can fill that more than Jesus can. But you did have a reconciliation with your husband. You guys are back together. That gives me a chill. I'm just so glad about that. Can you talk about you guys coming back together and the forgiveness that it probably involved.
Yeah, I was noticing your ring going, please let there be a happy ending.
Yes, there is.
Yes, I'm so blessed and thankful. He never stopped loving me, and I really didn't stop loving him, even though I said that, and it was so hurtful. And I think back on that, and I really hate that. But, what took only 4 months to destroy, 4 months to destroy, God has built back, and it's been about 2.5 years. So I'm so thankful. We did get remarried in January of this year.
Congratulations.
So thank you so much. He is such a beautiful man, and stepdad to my kids, and they love him, and Papa, I got 4 grandkids. So, but then it's been a beautiful journey that we've been together, and we've been more conscious and aware of both of our needs. I mean, he has needs as well as me. So I think going through that has just made us more aware, more able to recognize, and appreciate each other and show that appreciation, and make him feel as loved as I needed to feel, and we have been doing that. We just bought a new home, not far from our kids. So we're just rebuilding a step at a time, still going, still rebuilding. But I thank God for his graciousness. I thank God for rebuilding and helping us, to move forward and to help other people.
So we worked good out of that situation as well. And even though you lost some friends, I'm mad at them because they didn't stick with you and help you through this.
Yes.
Right? You've got new friends right here, the Pop Talk team. You could be an honorary Pearl girl. So we're just so glad you were on the show, Pamela. Thank you for sharing the story. I know you've helped so many people. And we want people to reach out to you. I'm sure there's others who have heard this and they said, this happened to me, and maybe they want to connect with you. Your book is called It Starts Within You, Heart, Mind, and Emotions Deceived. And you can buy a copy of Pamela's book on Amazon.com. Now, if you want to reach out to her, she's also looking for others to share their story and their experiences to help heal their hurts and take their power back. Love that. Yeah. You can email her at connect@liftupevents.com. Connect@liftupevents.com, or you can go to Pamela's website. It's liftupevents.com. She's also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Yeah. And there's a lot of reasons why you would want to connect with Pearls of Promise Ministries, and we want to give you how you can connect with us. You can send us an email at info@pearlsofpromiseministries, or you can always go to our web address, which is pearlsofpromiseministries.com. We're on all social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, and our handle on Twitter is @PopTalkMedia, and Instagram, our handle is @pop_ministries. Also, check out our past Pop Talk television shows on our Pearls of Promise YouTube channel. You will be very happy you did so.
I love going to YouTube and seeing some of those too. But we also wanted to extend an amazing invitation to our annual Level Up Conference. This women's conference is going to be held October 8th in Lewisville, Texas at Northview Baptist Church. We are going to have amazing speakers there, but we're also going to have an amazing special guest with over 20 books written on dream interpretation. Dr. Barbie Breathitt is going to be there. So if you have any interest, bring a friend and come see Barbie Breathitt. You can get tickets on Eventbrite.
And everyone on the Pop Talk team will be speaking. Dr. Lynette will be speaking. Aurora is going to MC it. I'm going to do a message at the start. So you're going to want to come and join us. It's a powerful time of learning and spiritual enrichment. So come on, join us at Level Up. And thanks once again to Grace Point Media for all of your production needs. Go to gracepoint.media. They did the production on today's show. That is Pop Talk for today. We're just ordinary girls
who God is turning into pearls.
Have a great week.